What's up, Gamecock Nation? Tashawn Wanamaker here checking in, and you're about to hear the show presented by Express Suns Rooms of Columbia. Spurs up.
Here in Columbia, well, it's been buzzing loudly all weekend.
Passion of the crowd in Williams-Brice Stadium is second to none.
And the rave breaks out in Columbia.
It is good!
Gamecock fans, welcome home.
See how it goes, but we'll be ready to go.
It's time to root.
Let's go, Carolina! It's gone! Touchdown! What a hit! He baked it in! Can you believe it? Gamecocks have won this game!
Here are your hosts, J.C. Sherber.
Oh, watch him celebrate now!
Phil Molinex.
My wife doesn't like hanging around losers.
And Jamie Bradford.
I'm going to tell him, you look like you joined Duck Dynasty.
All right, greetings and good morning and happy final day of February. It is warm and beautiful here in the low country of South Carolina. Inside the Gamecocks, the show very proudly presented by Express Sunrooms of Columbia and live, of course, from the Signorama Columbia studios. Phil, JC, and myself, JB, here until 1 o'clock this afternoon. We'll be joined in just a little while by Sawyer Nix as part of his segment, The Mental Edge, on our program. Coming up, also, we'll get into more Clemson-Carolina baseball because this weekend is one of the great series and great rivalries in the country in college baseball. Monty Lee will make his return to the upstate as the former head coach of the Tigers. I'm sure he'll receive a warm welcome on Friday. He's expecting it, and we certainly look forward to that. By the way, a couple of quick programming notes for us. Kip Balknight will join us on Thursday, and Stuart Lake will join us on Friday to preview this series, and we certainly look forward to that. If you need a new sign or you just need a sign, Signorama is where you want to go. Nobody does it better than Matt Vaughn's team in Columbia. From design, production, install, service, it's beautiful. It's the best. They take care of it after it's completed. If you have any issues, they'll fix those issues. There's a reason why everybody goes to them. There's a reason why They are the preferred sign partner of the University of South Carolina's athletics department. 803-407-9284 is the phone number. You can always head to signorama.com and find their location and give them a call as well. They service all of South Carolina, and maybe it's not a sign, maybe it's a vehicle that you need wrapped. If you do, again, nobody will do it better. It won't just be falling off in a couple of years. Signorama in Columbia, where they are proud Gamecock alumni. All right. A lot of stuff actually breaking this morning from a coaching standpoint. We did get news first reported by WCIV in Charleston, Scott Eisberg, that Devontae Holloman is departing the South Carolina football program for a head coaching position in the Lowcountry, in my neck of the woods, at Pinewood Prep. As a matter of fact, Devontae not at Carolina very long, just a year after leaving as the head coach at South Point High School. And he will now come this way and begin his next stop as the head man of a high school football program. In other news, if any of you are in the area and this is something that you really care about, former First Baptist head coach Johnny Waters, whom I know very well, had gotten out of coaching, has gotten back into coaching, and he has taken the head coaching position at Northwood Academy, which is interesting because Northwood Academy just a few weeks ago hired former Charleston Southern head coach Autry Denson to the same job, an athletics director. So you might be wondering, well, how do they have two head coaches? Well, they don't. 40 minutes before the news was reported, also by Scott Eisberg of WCIV in Charleston, that Johnny would be taking this position, he also reported that Autry Denson has now been hired as the running backs coach of the Arizona Cardinals. So within just a couple of months, Autry has gone from head coach at Charleston Southern, fired by former Liberty athletics director and Gamecock associate athletics director at one point in time, Jeff Barber. He becomes the head coach in the AD at Northwoods. He leaves after about a month, and he's going to Arizona and dipping his toes in the NFL. So the coaching carousel is moving, at least in the Palmetto State boys and girls, at a rapid pace here on the final day of the month of November. Sorry for the long intro, but I wanted to make sure I got all that in. Good morning, fellas.
Yeah, good morning. I wanted to address something in the Nana Sports chat box. Brian said he stopped watching because there's all advertising on the show. Look, man, we have a 2-hour show. We have a lot of advertisers. We get them all in. I completely disagree with that. But if anybody out there has any kind of complaints about that, please email us. Don't put it out on, Facebook. If you enjoy the show, obviously, if you're mad about ads, you obviously enjoy what we do. I mean, don't put that out there on Facebook to try to keep other people from watching like a moron. All right, Brian. Okay.
I mean, welcome to set up a recurring Venmo.
I listen to shows all the time, and I have it's one of my pet peeves. Is too many ads. I think we fit it all in pretty well, for a 2-hour show. So can't stand. Clint's the ads are 25 seconds long. I'm on some shows as a guest sometimes where. It gets going. So we could easily do that. We try to have a nice balance. You got to make a living doing this. It's 2 hours of time out of our day, every day, plus prep. And I think we work hard at it. And, it's just like anything else. You got to make money. But, Don even says he started watching because of the limited amount of advertising. So, I mean, I just disagree with that. And it really, to me, gets my goat sometimes when somebody will just put something out there on Yelp. I mean, you're basically a Yelp. You're a Yelper if you're doing that just out there. You have a problem with it, let us know. What exactly is the issue? Or did you just watch the scroll in the intro and you're like, oh, this is all ads, and you just give up because your attention span sucks? That's fine too, but that's a personal problem. Not anything wrong with the show. Anyway, I had to get that out of
I've got news for Brian. First of all these people make money off of what we do, which is the point. And they're not going to be the only ones on here making money either. We have other partners that are coming on board with us very soon that you'll actually probably really appreciate in addition to the ones we already have. So
Yeah,
if you don't like it, then find something else to do.
I kind of
facilitates us doing more, right? I mean, that's the whole
thing. We
thing.
can do more with it, you know? I mean, we can
more.
expand, and you have road trips and things like that. But anyway, no, I kind of threw that out just to get our chat boxers see what they thought about it. Because, I mean, if 15 people said, oh, yeah, you need to do something, then maybe I need to redo some of the spots. But I guess the price was wrong, Brian. Woo!
Well, people partner with our program because not only do they see results, but because it works, because there's thousands of people that watch and listen to our show every day. And that's the nature of media. If you think you can find media without partnerships and marketing and advertising, you can't. And if you can, it's somebody who doesn't know what the hell they're doing. They're probably in their mother's basement, and they think that there's somebody that they're not. So have fun.
And look, I just want to make sure everything's okay. I mean, that's because we don't get a lot of emails with feedback and stuff. I mean, and all that good stuff. So I just wanted to make sure that
if you showed up and knocked on my door after a complaint, especially with the hair standing up on the top of your head like that, I would immediately bow down and say, I am so sorry. I didn't mean any harm. Please don't hurt me with your porcupine. Whatever.
It's a beautiful look. It's fancy.
It's a great look.
I got up this morning, right, and I'm cooking a pot roast today, right?
All right.
I've been getting so you have to start that early.
You had to look good for it. I get it.
So after carpool, I'm going to the grocery store. You can't look like hell going to the grocery store. And so I did the hair and all that, but there's these I don't know, for lack of a better term, kind of, I guess, deep South cooking videos on Facebook. And this guy's like, how to cook a pot roast. He's like, get your skillet with a little oil, flip it over, remove the roast, 1 whole stick of butter, 1 can pepperoncinis, juice and all, 1 whole onion, 3 cups of carrots. Get you a ranch.
This guy. I've seen this guy.
Get you a ranch, beef stew, and au jus. Mix it on there. Bring it to a simmer. Make sure you get the juice. Cook it on high.
Matter of fact, yeah.
Man, so anyway, look, I said that not to start off the show with a complaint and to talk about that because nobody wants to hear about all that. But look, if there's a problem, I'd like to know. Because like I said, there's ways we can make it a little bit. I mean, I think with the more breaks, but shorter breaks and shorter commercials. Because remember when I was just doing it with Phil, man, we do a monologue. We do like 1.5 minute commercials for everybody, and we had huge breaks, but there were only 3 of them. And I think now that's a little bit easier on the ears. But anyway.
And I'd like to remind everybody that, all formal complaints need to be submitted in writing, and you can mail them, care of Inside the Gamecocks, the show, to 1060 West Addison, Chicago, Illinois, 60613.
Well, and I'm gonna be the opposite of y'all here. I hate to do this, but I'm gonna do it anyways. There are some people that just know a little bit more about industries than other people do. And we know a lot more about this one than that guy does. So I don't take advice from people that know absolutely nothing about something that I'm kind of an expert at.
Yeah, exactly. No doubt. Yeah, you think Jamie Bradford's going to join a show that's nothing but ads? Come on.
I was hoping that Jamie was going to break into a live read right there because that would have been.
Well, I was about to.
Yeah. I was like, here we go.
I thought about it, but I know we're going to be squeezing time. But what time saw you here? 11:20?
No,
11:30.
Is that 30-ish?
It's 20 or 30. I didn't put a time on this thing today. So that was my fault. I can't.
Yeah,
probably 11:30. Let's assume 11:30.
Yeah. All right, cool.
Yeah.
So, but the mental edge.
Just send it to complaints@gmail.com. Somebody will get
complaints. Anyway,
gmail.com.
Yeah, and also some coaching news today on the Carolina front. Tony Morrell today did report and confirmed 100% Justin Stepp is not going to Florida.
No.
There's a lot of info out there on the Gator boards. Well, he's a candidate or whatever, and then Florida kind of came through or didn't come through the state. I think it was like South Carolina Day in their recruiting departments. They offered, I think, Staley, the wide receiver from Aiken, and they offered Mazeo Bennett. So people started to panic. There was a question in the chat box about, is Mazeo Bennett Florida's offer have anything to do with Step? No, it doesn't. Step's staying. I will say, though, this is the third time Step's had serious job offers. And I think it says a lot about your program, not only that other coaches come after your coaches, and of course, Billy Napier's known Justin Stepp for years. They're both Furman people, and Stepp worked for Napier, I think, at Clemson back in the day. But it says a lot when other programs come after your coaches. It says even more when they stay. So I think that's a positive thing. I know Freddie Kitchens left. I know that Devontae's leaving. Kristen left. There's some off the field attrition that happened at South Carolina, but that's perfectly normal, with the exception of Kristen Coggin, who, he made kind of a lateral move for more money, and I'm still convinced that's just basically because you build something. Maybe you want to go build something somewhere else, okay? And Kristen, if you look at her resume, she's been in the Southeast like her whole career. Maybe broaden your horizons or whatever. We don't know. But losing Freddie Kitchens to an on-field job, losing Staten Weber to an on-field job, losing that Nick Coleman, who was probably gone anyway, with Satterfield, losing all those folks is not, bad. It's good when other schools come and give your coaches and people that are part of your organization a bigger opportunity. And that's what it is. And Jamie explained Freddie, excuse me, yesterday. So, I think that's good. I think, God, holding on to Step is a pretty solid thing. I got that pot roast seasoning in my nose, right?
Yeah. Well, and I'll add a little bit to this as well. With over the last couple of years, trying to figure out exactly how to say this, because this isn't something this is not a South Carolina issue. But Jason, you have excellent contacts clearly at Carolina and all over the country, and I know that you've heard very similar things. A lot of these off-field roles, they are necessary, but I wouldn't say well defined. And so you get a lot of, and that this is not like a knock on a Shane Beamer or a Nick Saban or any coach out there, but you need to have these roles for various reasons at various schools. They're all a little bit different analyst roles. Some schools require analysts to do a little bit more. Some require them to do a little bit less. Some of these other positions are just kind of built and made specifically for individuals and things of that nature, just to get them in the building. Some of it really just comes down to PR. And then as time goes on, the individuals that fill these roles, I would say are unfulfilled. We'll put it that way. They have the desire to coach, or they have the desire, they think, to be in college, coach specifically football is what I'm explaining here. And it just really isn't that. There are other things that kind of are, kind of on your plate that are, that's not really why I got into this industry. It's not sometimes the money that you would kind of hope it would be. Let's be honest, if you're on a budget, which they all are, and you have to pay a running backs coach a little bit more money to keep him, well, you're probably going to make sure he gets that money before an analyst does, no matter who the analyst is, or one of these other off the field roles. And so, you will have attrition, and we're seeing that at South Carolina and elsewhere. It's not like there's anything bad going on. It's not like people are dipping and diving out of a program that they don't love for some reason or don't like the coach. No, it's not that. It really comes down to personal situations. And as I mentioned, a lot of these positions are created, but they're really never well defined. And so you get guys who, they feel like they want to get into coaching after maybe their playing careers are done, or they want to take a step up from the high school level, and you get there. And I don't want to throw a bunch of names out there, but y'all could probably speculate a little bit. There are some people you could ask directly, what is college coaching like now compared to what it was or what you thought it was? And it ain't it ain't what the dream once was to be a college football coach. It's a 365. I mean, you've heard Shane Beamer. He said it down here in Charleston. Coach Sweeney has said it. I appreciate both of their comments, and I think they're exactly right. I mean, hey, around the holidays, can we find a way to make this not the most stressful time of the year for these coaches, in addition to what they already have to deal with? So there's just a lot, and I think that you'll continue to see revolving doors like this all across the sport of college football until some of these things are a little bit more defined and kind of geared and directed towards exactly one thing with a clear-cut path of where you're going to go once you get there.
And look, like Kreger mentions, Florida lost 3 coaches to the NFL. Yeah, and look, I'm going to tell you this right now. South Carolina didn't really have a whole lot of NFL interest, in their guys. And I'm going to say, don't be surprised if South Carolina, Clemson, wherever, those folks are gone, because I'll tell you what's changed. What's changed is with the portal and with instant transfer, you're basically recruiting your entire roster 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Whereas it used to be you have a recruiting period in college. You have a nice month off in the summer. Now you got official visits in the summer. You're moving toward a December deadline. You used to have Christmas off. Don't have that really anymore because you're hitting the portal and all that good stuff. And it's taxing. And whereas it used to be the heavy workload was in the National Football League because you work 12-hour days on football Monday through Thursday or whatever, and you're always at the office doing whatever. Well, now it's flipped. In the NFL, it's much less taxing because you're just working on football, right? You're not working on you have a general manager most of the time or personnel people that handle who are going to be our players. How much are we going to pay them? All that good stuff. And there's not unrestricted free agency every single year like there is in college sports now. And so I can see if I were a ball coach, and the money's the same, my quality of life is probably a little better in the NFL, whereas it used to not be that way. So I think you're going to see more and more college coaches, if they do get the opportunity, jump. Whereas it used to be some guys were just like, nah, don't want any part of the NFL, happy in college, right? Just because it's a different job than it used to be.
No question. Yeah, and I'll let's just say as time goes on, you might see more changes at Carolina. So I don't necessarily think anything on the field, but off the field, I would not be shocked to see some of that stuff. So
never know.
All right, we do need to, yeah, absolutely. You're exactly right. Do need to hit a timeout here. When we return, Sawyer Nix will join us. Also, though, I do want to give an update on what is going on down in Hilton Head. It's one of the neatest golf tournaments in the country, the Darius Rucker Intercollegiate, and your 4th-ranked South Carolina Gamecocks are down there competing. So we'll give you an update on that. Plus, the SEC Women's Basketball Awards are out, and they are littered with garnet and black. So we'll make sure we fill you in on who's where. Baseball picked up a couple of weekly awards yesterday as well. So a lot of spring Gamecocks doing good things. We'll tell you who and what, plus Sawyer when we return. The preferred sign partner of Gamecock Athletics is Signorama Columbia, and they should be yours too. A full-service sign company that handles design, production, install, and service, Signorama Columbia has helped to bring to life the perfect vision for so many all across South Carolina. Owned and operated by proud Gamecock alumni, they can handle all types of signage, including interior and exterior, vehicle graphics, and more. Go to Signorama.com and find the West Columbia location, or call them at 803-407-9284. Bring your brand to life with Signorama Columbia, and go Gamecocks.
Are you looking to buy a new home? Kevin O'Connell with Union Home Mortgage is a local mortgage expert and Gamecocks fan servicing North and South Carolina. Whether you're buying a home, building your dream home with new construction, or turning your equity into cash, UHM's world-class service will ensure you find the perfect mortgage to achieve your home ownership goals. Call Kevin at 803-906-0244 or visit UHM.com today. Union Home Mortgage is an equal housing lender. Manager. NMLS 2229, LONMLS 1772182.
Gamecock Nation, JB here, and I'm here to tell you about my new favorite painting company, A Couple of Painters. These guys are the best. Gamecock fans and excellent painters, and by far the best and easiest quote I've received. They're licensed in both South Carolina and Georgia. They offer 10% off for military, repeat customers, or if you heard it on the show, commercial and residential painting, deck, fence, and cabin staining, cabinet and furniture refinishing. They'll even remove popcorn ceilings and wallpaper, and they offer pressure washing. Find them on Facebook or call 803-522-6832. A Couple of Painters, proud partners of Inside the Gamecocks, the show.
Man, are you sick and tired of your business computer guy?
Yes, he takes forever to call me back and doesn't always respond to the requests.
Yeah, same here. I'm paying him good money. I constantly have issues, and I'm worried he's not backing up my network and securing it properly.
Oh, I feel that, man. My head hurts, but I have a good lead on a good idea. I'm calling your boy Matthew Odom today from Heritage Digital. Heritage Digital is an IT firm that specializes in making sure your IT network runs like a dream. If you have 1 or 500 employees, it doesn't matter. They do it all for one monthly fee and have clients from South Carolina all the way to California.
Yeah, I heard that monthly fee's low too, so I don't know why I didn't even think of that. Do you have 843-699-1001 as Matt's contact number?
Yeah, man, I sure do that. Or you can go to heritagedigital.com.
Man, I hear they do a no-cost assessment. Boy, this will help me.
Yeah, I bet.
I'm getting on that and encouraging everyone else to do the same. Heritage Digital, 843-699-1001 or heritagedigital.com, a proud sponsor of Inside the Gamecocks, the show.
This is former All-American shortstop Drew Meyer, and you're listening to Inside the Gamecocks, the show. Go Gamecocks.
Welcome back to Inside the Gamecocks, the show, everybody. It's presented to you by Express Sunrooms. Give John and his team a call, 803-446-4662, to set up a no-obligation consultation about a potential backyard retreat for your home. And, of course, Cindy Searfoss and the Coldwell Banker Kane Realty team here in the Upstate sponsor the first hour of the show. 864-414-5271 is how to get in touch with Cindy. She'll be happy to take care of all your upstate residential needs. Please reach out and give her a call. And joining us now for our weekly segment, The Mental Edge, on the McKellar Enterprises guest line, none other than the guy who reminds us every week to be awesome today, is Sawyer Nix. Good morning, Sawyer. How you doing?
Good morning. Good morning. Doing pretty well so far. Staying very, very busy, but so other than that, life is good. Strange weather. I think about the scene from Wizard of Oz when it's snowing and the Cowardly Lion's like unusual weather we're having here. So crazy warm here. But hey, we'll take it.
It's a 5.5 feet of snow somewhere in California. Did y'all see that?
Yeah.
I saw, wasn't that Pasadena? It was like Southern California.
5.5 feet?
There's mountains there, folks. I mean, it's the rare bad Southern California weather. I mean, if it weren't for the people, I understand why everybody moved there. How about that? If you go out there and you spend any amount of time in California, you're like, oh man, the weather. But now the people now just make it terrible. So, and I know I have some friends out there and they tolerate it. Like it, but that's my whole thing about, especially LA. It's like great for the people. And so you understand why, like 100 years ago, everybody's like, hell, let's move here, because it's like it's unbelievable. But
well, there's this thing called the gold rush out there.
Yeah, and the oil, the 49ers too. Everybody's seen There Will Be Blood, right? I am an oil man.
There was a reason they went. It was like,
this is my son, HW.
The worst part about what's happening up here is I found that yellow haze on my car already today.
That's gonna some sniffles, huh?
Did that overtake the orange fog?
No, nothing overtakes the orange fog.
Except the UCF baseball team.
Yeah, that's right.
Phil goes outside. He looks like a tie-dye
down the hill
t-shirt.
video.
Okay, sorry, sir. So, talking about coaching changes and stuff today, and so this popped in my head because we were talking about how college coaches now probably going to see more of them go to the NFL because of quality of life, which it was completely the opposite before the portal and all this good stuff. So, talk to us about making decisions based on work-life balance and how mentally you wrap your head around big decisions career-wise, while also at the same time not alienating your family and having problems at home.
Yeah, I saw 76 Gamecock in the Nana Sports chat box kind of mention this a bit earlier, that coaches are going to have to intentionally, Beamer's going to have to structure things. And matter of fact, I saw that the kids are on spring break, college is spring break next week, and that if I'm right, the dead period ends. But my understanding from one of the articles in 247 Sports and the Big Spur is that they're going to hold off on some visits until a few weeks later. So nothing next week. So coaches are going to have to be intentional, and as much disdain for the orange fog up here in the coach. One of the things that he did several years ago was that he did focus on having coaches have some quality of life. If they wanted to go to their kids' Friday night football game, darn it, go to it. Go be at your son's football game on Friday night or other things. And I'm not saying that every coach needs to be like Dabo, and I would say that would be dangerous and not a good place to be. But to some degree, I think head coaches are going to have to make some decisions that there's going to be a cost to having exhausted, burned out staff. You want your staff happy and healthy, and if they're happy and healthy, they're going to work for you. They're going to bust their butt for you, and there has to be some planning and some foresight for that. So I'm going to be excited to see how Coach Beamer handles that, given the nature of pretty much 365 days and 52 weeks a year. That there's very few weeks where there's really nothing going on. So I'll be excited to see how that's the case. And also a lot of the professional teams, they have, as part of their mental health and mental wellness program, not only do they work with the athletes, but they also work for staff. And that's one of the things I've tried to advocate for, is not only football teams specifically getting some more advocacy in terms of mental health and mental performance, but having somebody that's going to be there to support the staff, because they're just as beaten, exhausted as anybody else. And for them, I think that's really important. And they have to figure out how to put up some boundaries. So kind of transferring that to us, we have to figure out what's the roadblock. Is it worth taking extra couple of hours or a couple of extra shifts? Is the pay good? Sometimes we could use the extra pay. Other times, is it worth it? No. Matter of fact, a couple of weeks ago, I joked in my office. I said I was so busy. If we have no shows, we charge clients. If you just don't show up for an appointment, you get charged, because we have such a demand for clients to be seen. But I was so overbooked, I almost joked and said, I'm willing to pay some clients not to show up today. It was just so overwhelming. I was so exhausted. But from day to day, it can change. And I know that we have to figure out what's best for us. We have to figure out, where do we draw the line? And that's a little different for everybody. There's a short term. Certainly there's a short term that we can, all right, I have to do a couple of extra things here. Well, if I know it's this week, or for 2 weeks, or for this month, we can kind of change. But if there's no end in sight, that's where things get to be hectic. We saw some of that during COVID, with health professionals getting burned out when they're working, 18, 20-hour shifts. It's not like, well, we're going to do this for a month and you'll be back to normal. No, there was no end in sight for them. And a lot of them are, well, I'm done. I'm getting out. So I think we all have hard decisions to make, but we have to take into account our physical health, our mental well-being. It's challenging. It's not easy at all. We have to think about our family, where our family's needs. There's a lot of days I'd love to be on the golf course more, or in front of a TV, or drinking some Coke and doing a line of Oreos. But I'm not. Sometimes I'm spending more time with my kids because that's important. So we always have to think about giving up something and what's the cost. And I ask my clients that, what's the cost? And not just financial cost, but what's the emotional cost? What's the mental cost? What's the physical drain? And there's no one cookie cutter size fits all for everybody. It's just trying to figure out what's best for us to sustain. We hear about coaches, having heart issues and having stress. And I worry about that. I worry about, the Pirate, how much, he seemed like the guy that was kind of jovial and had a blast in life, which is great. But did the stress of that job, did that impact his health? Who knows?
Yeah. I think you make a lot of really interesting points there. Matter of fact, I saw Greg Adkins and talked to him for a little bit at the baseball game this weekend, and he's feeling wonderful, he said. And he looked really good, too. Actually looked like he'd lost a little weight. I will squeeze this in. Sawyer Clint says he'll gladly make an appointment with you and cancel for a small fee if you don't if you got a couple of bucks lying around.
Yeah.
Side gig.
And it looks like God bless Sonder because he's a tax guy, and this time of the year is certainly difficult on him. So to your point, though, because we want to make sure we flip that coin over to Coach Beamer, because it is, regardless of how much hate mail Coach Sweeney receives from Gamecock fans and actually quite a few fans across the country, he is good about that, and Shane is good about that too. I mean, I know a couple of people in that building very well who have families, and they have made it a point to say to me, one of the things that Coach Beamer says is, hey, look, I can't hire family oriented people who have a wife, have children, like promote that atmosphere and then not back it up. Like, if I'm going to bring people into this building who have children, and which means they have things going on and they have a wife, most of those people in that building are paid very well. So it's not like you have to have both members of the household working necessarily, unless they really choose to. Jerry Spurrier did. But at the same time, as you mentioned, an empty house can be a little bit lonely, and you got to make sure that you're working on that. And everything I've ever heard about how Coach Beamer turns this around to his staff, like I just saw the other day, where I think Coach Loggins asked him a question, like, can I go watch 30 minutes of my son's baseball game? And he said, don't ever ask that question again. If you need to go, you need to go. It's your son's baseball game. If you got to go, go. There's plenty of hours in the day. We'll figure out how to do the things around here we need to do. And those are people generally that coaches want to work for. And then, as you know, the more that you win, even more want to work for you. And then you kind of have your pick of the litter.
Yeah, Coach Spurrier was that way too. He's kind of a pioneer in that regard, because it's like, like there's that old story. He's like, Stoops was out of the, in the beach house. It's like, shoot, Bobby, you think those Tennessee coaches are floating in the ocean right now?
Yeah. Well, y'all know. You would go to his office and drink beer with him to watch film.
Yeah.
I mean, it was very.
He needled Nick Saban over it too. He needled Nick, because Coach Spurrier was 3-1 against Nick Saban, and the one he lost was in 2009 with a 7-6 team against a team that won the national championship. It was a touchdown game in the fourth quarter. So Nick sort of struggled with the old ball coach, and boy, once the head man, and I got told the story by a staff member, the head man. Because he beat him in 2010, and they never played again. They should have. Even A.J. McCarron said, man, next thing you know, you're playing South Carolina, and it's blah, blah, blah. They had Alabama had a lot of respect for the Gamecocks during that point in time. And they said, Spurrier would get on the treadmill and be like, oh, shoot, I wonder what Nick Saban's doing right now. Shoot, because he blew him out, 3 different times. And, lost one. So, but he'd always need a little of that. But it's, I do think work-life balance is important. I think we're going to see more and more coaches consider that, and it's a shame, because I think it hurts the college game. Either that, or programs are going to have to really start to and I advocate that for Carolina right now. I don't know how Shane's going to fill a lot of these analyst roles, but I think putting another guy or two into the film watching the Taylor Edwards section of everything, personnel department, may serve them well, just because with the portal and everything else, it just gets to be too much. I mean, I talked to somebody that works, a couple of people that worked in that department, and right now they're coming off 15-hour days because it's dead period, and they're setting up their board for the coming cycles, and it's the identification process. It's very important to get that done, and that's a long day. When you're we don't even think about it out here, because right now for us, not a lot going on, right? Well, we don't know. They're in the office 15 hours a day, rocking and rolling.
Yeah, I want to throw something in here real quick too. I just kind of want, if you can, I know we don't have a ton of time left, Sawyer, with you, but if you could just bring this to life a little bit, because you see this all the time in social media, you see it in message boards. People, they have a lot to say when their fingers work on a keyboard. But these people are real people. Like they actually have real lives. And I think one of the misconceptions that is out there is, well, I don't care what the excuse is. This guy's making $1 million a year, and which is obviously very generally a lot more money than the large majority of us make. So we're all sitting here thinking, my God, I'd do anything for $1 million. But is that really true? Like, can't you kind of bring this to life a little bit for us? Like with coaches who they commit their lives at the expense of families and other things other things. Yeah, they make a lot of money, but they're also human, and they're going to make mistakes, and things are going to happen, and they're going to have bad days and things like that.
Yeah, I worked with a psychiatrist for a brief while that had several vehicles, would drive a Range Rover one day and drive a Mercedes the next day. And I saw his work-life balance. I said, I will be glad to drive my 10-year-old Toyota Avalon, and you can keep your Range Rover and you can keep your Mercedes. I don't want any part of that lifestyle. I don't want any part of that life. And it's amazing. You're right. And until we see what people do, until we really understand that side of it, not only are they responsible for a program, but for every player, every coach, they have to answer to the parents. They have to answer to the board. They have to answer to the boosters. It's constant. And that's where it's really important to set those boundaries up, to take care of those things. And I think it's about, we've talked about this, getting the recipe right, getting the steps along the way to get the goal. And part of that is being intentional about, hey, my coaches are going to have some time off. My players are going to have some time off. I'm going to have some time off. And here is the boundaries. And it's incredibly, incredibly important. And it's true. We never understand what's on the other side. We hear the phrase, walk a day in my shoes. And until we do see some of what they do and all the responsibility they have, it's incredible. Sometimes jobs, blue collar folks are like, oh, well, you sit in your desk all day or you talk to people. I'm like, mentally for me, if I have 2 or 3 clients that are suicidal, yeah, I've been sitting in my butt in the chair all day, but that's an immense amount of pressure on me, to take care of that and that responsibility. Or if I have a couple that's on the verge of divorcing, and they're like, all right, you're the last person to help me out today. If this doesn't work, we're done. We got some little kids involved. I mean, that's pressure on me. Now, same thing for other people's jobs. I can say, from my long vantage point, oh, that looks easier, but we never really understand what other people go through mentally or emotionally and physically. So it's difficult. And so it's just trying to be patient ourselves. And as you said, not get behind a keyboard and attack those. And unfortunately, you're kind of, I guess, preaching to a choir that, those that are, they're going to continue to do that. They're going to hide behind the keyboard and attack people and challenge that. But for what they make, the amount that they put in is we can't fathom it. I wouldn't want the pressure that they have. I'll just put it to you that way.
Yeah, that's a good word. Pressure. You're dead on with that. Man, we got a bunch of mailmen in our Nana Sports chat box. I didn't realize Joey was a mailman too. I know Marion is. I love the male guys. I've got a male lady in her. I love her. Every time I see her, she's so sweet.
Yeah, Marion actually says maybe we can get Jeff Caslin some help. Let's all chip in for that nut job. All right, Sawyer, got to wrap it up here. Thanks for joining us. The Mental Edge is always a highlight of the week, and it's always topical. By the way, John Scott Jr., who used to be at Carolina, he was here for a minute, here for a year. Former D-line coach, went to Penn State, and one of the Detroit Lions. So,
yeah,
kind of funny.
That's not
that was yesterday, but that's it's kind of funny we were sitting there talking about that, and I just kind of became aware of that. So he's a hell of a defensive line coach. So.
There's somebody else that also used to be here under Will Muschamp. Not so good news on today though as well. So we'll make sure we dish that information coming out just a little bit. Sorry, really good stuff, man. Have a great week.
All right, y'all have a great week as well.
Thank you. Again, Sawyer Nix. All right, it's time for a timeout. We'll get to the award winners. I'll give you the leaderboard. The Darius Rucker Intercollegiate's a great tournament. I want to make sure I tell you where the Gamecock stands. It's pretty good. Plus, I just mentioned a former staffer under Will Muschamp's in some hot water along with others to tell you who and why. When Inside the Gamecocks, powered by Charleston or Electric Bikes of Charleston, returns.
I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
Easy. He's got a tiger by the tail, he has.
He better hang on, too.
People have spoken. Nana's Porch was voted the third best food truck or trailer by the Charlotte newspaper Public Poll. Also, their pimento cheese took third in a contest exclusively for products made in the state of North Carolina. I will let Noah Hall tell you about the rest. Nana's Porch, Southern cuisine with an uptown twist.
We're well into the new year, and the days of being back in the pool and boat are quickly approaching. Many of us don't have the time to hit the gym, but Charleston Fitness Equipment can change that for you. Outfit your home with a treadmill, elliptical, or my favorite, a home rower that allows you to row with the pros all over the world. They have free weights, home gyms, flooring, and much more that makes keeping or getting in shape much more convenient. Located in Mount Pleasant, visit charlestonfitnessequipment.com for more. Get in shape like our Gamecocks. Charleston Fitness Equipment, proud partners of Inside the Gamecocks.
Gamecock Nation, do you need a place to stay for the big game? Many hotel booking engines keep all the commissions, but at Fan Plans, you support Inside the Gamecocks, still earn your hotel loyalty points, and you receive an email with direct confirmation from the hotel. Whether you are visiting Columbia to cheer on Carolina or hitting the road to follow the team, get in the stands with Fan Plans.
Family vacations, a new car, a new boat, all cost money, but you don't necessarily have to make more to afford any of that if you can save cash that's flying out the window now. iHelp Consulting can help you finally get the kids to Disney World, upgrade the minivan, or drop that new boat in the water next summer. Let Daniel and iHelp Consulting consult with you. No fees, just savings. You pay them a percentage of those savings. Save on essential services, credit card fees, you name it, let them find it. These folks are incredible. iHelpConsulting.com. How can I help you?
This is Coach O. Now back to the show. Go Tigers in the soul.
Welcome back to Inside the Gamecocks, the show, everybody. Presented to you by Express Sunrooms of Columbia. John and his team. I wanted to write at the bottom of these things. We're supposed to read these ads? No. So, Express Sunrooms.
We're so sorry. We're so sorry to promote our partners here. Sorry about that. They don't need to work.
No, it's all right. They don't need that. You don't need a sunroom. Do you need your patio or porch enclosed? And if you were not thinking about having that happen, don't call 803-446-4662. Yeah, that's right. Because you know what? That's all they're going to be able to help you with. And if you mention you heard it here, I mean, hell, we might even throw in $500 off the project cost. I'm just saying. So,
actually, if you mention you heard it here, they're going to charge you more.
Yeah, that's right. It might be $1,000 more. Especially if you want it done in orange.
I'm engaged in Joey and Marion here. I want to see what happens with this conversation as the day goes on, because I get married. Joey, how's the mail count?
Yeah,
we're gonna get some inside scoop of what happens in the mail truck as the day goes along. So you guys, y'all keep going back and forth and break this thing down for us, because I'm interested to see who is and isn't getting their mail today.
Is that in pieces? Do you count? What is it? accounting for size. Like I have a giant Ipsos research envelope right here.
I have a question for these
two
guys.
pieces or just one, guys?
Like, what do they think about Amazon? Are you fans of Amazon or not?
It's kind of a rivalry.
Joey and Marion, are they fans of Amazon or not? That's the big question here. All right, let me read some of this real quick. Down in Hilton Head, LSU now has a 5-stroke lead on South Carolina, who came into the day tied for the lead. The Tigers have picked up a shot. Gamecocks have dropped 3. So they are at 2 over. LSU is at 2 under, and Auburn is at 1 over. But it's early, and the Gamecocks won't let Darius Rucker down. So if you're going to be in the Hilton Head area through tomorrow, maybe you can swing by and check out the Darius Rucker Intercollegiate, who also Darius does a lot of golf stuff, if anybody hasn't figured that out over the years. The women's basketball program, for those that didn't realize this, are undefeated. They're number 1 in the country, and now they also have.
Oh, you've gone Max Headroom on us again.
Yeah, Max Headroom, Speedy Gonzalez. Arriba. Andale.
I don't understand what's going on.
I don't either.
Can you hear me now?
It happens at random times, and then all of a sudden it's like,
we're in the clear now. I think. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead. Weird. Women's basketball.
It's so strange. Okay. For those that didn't hear, South Carolina is undefeated, and Aaliyah Boston has been named the SEC's Player of the Year for the 2nd straight season. She is also the Defensive Player of the Year for the 2nd straight season. Dawn Staley is once again the SEC Coach of the Year. And the 6th Woman of the Year goes to Camila Cardoso. Of course, Aaliyah Boston and Zaya Cook have also been named to the All-SEC's first team, Cardoso to the 2nd team, Raven Johnson to the All-Freshman team, and Bree Beal and Aaliyah Boston to the All-Defensive team. So congratulations to the ladies. Yesterday, Noah Hall named the SEC's Co-Pitcher of the Week, and Ethan Petrie named one of collegiate baseball's National Players of the Week as well. So they are.
I like what I've seen out of him.
Yeah, man, that Petrie, I guess, is
I've liked him from the start. I very rarely make a good call in baseball, but I kind of feel good about myself now. Maybe I'm not a moron when it comes to baseball. I'm never more of a moron than hockey. Okay, because during the pandemic, hockey was the first thing that came back. Right? What?
We've got another mail carrier in here. We've got Russell. Yeah. Now this is getting better by the minute.
Carrier.
Wait a second. So we've got three
mail carriers.
All right. So Russell says Amazon is trash. All right.
Inside the Gamecocks, the show ranks number 1 among mailmen.
Yeah, that's right. We can just have to start promoting that.
Number 1 mailman, mail carriers.
Right. We've got to incorporate that into the opening somehow.
We'll put that in a bumper.
If like my sports career got taken away and I didn't make it in like stand-up comedy or writing or something like that, I can think of worse things than delivering the mail every day. It's kind of fun and challenging. I've been in the delivery business before. I did deliver gyros for Sammy's Deli before there was a GPS.
This is
so I learned all of Columbia.
Is that? Yeah, I'm sure it's exactly the same.
I'm sure it's frustrating as hell sometimes, but it's like, especially if you got dogs and you got to get out the truck. Or you could be like that movie Funny Farm with Chevy Chase, where he just rolled by and went woohoo and threw it out the road.
Ryan's got a good point. How many pastors do we have here? I know we have 2.
We have
I know of 3 actually. There's 3.
So we have we've got a 3-on-3 basketball tournament going here.
Pastors versus mailmen.
Pastors versus
I think
I don't know.
We're on. We're getting there. Real quick too. Let me make sure that I mentioned
Seth says keep my day job. He's a UPS driver. There we go.
Let me make sure I get this in. As long as for whatever reason my mic doesn't act up once again. Tennessee, 4 previous assistant coaches under Jeremy Pruitt have received between 3 and 5-year show cause penalties for 18 level 1 violations that occurred under Jeremy Pruitt. one of the 4 assistants, by the way, Jeremy Pruitt's situation has not been resolved. They are still working on this. If it goes to trial, he could get cleared, but he might, I don't know the specifics. He might not want to go to trial. However, so we'll see what happens at a later date on that. One of the 4 assistants that has received a show cause is former at Tennessee and South Carolina director of player personnel, Drew Hughes, who was once at South Carolina under Will Muschamp in the same role, and then he left to go to Rocky Top. So he will not be in coaching for the next 3 to 5 years.
Yeah, not in college. He went to the Jaguars. I think he's still there, but yeah, he
Yep, right. Yeah,
he's
in pro.
He's not getting it. No, not gonna get back into coaching. So yeah, Drew Hughes. I knew Drew got caught up in that because Drew. I don't know if the plan for Beamer was to keep Drew or not, but it seemed like it was. And then he got Texas. Sarkisian went to Texas, and so he left here to go to Texas, and then Texas couldn't hire him because of all this, and so he ended up going to the Jaguars with the Urban Meyer, and that was fun, I bet. Hey, Sterling Lucas was there too. I mean, he was part of all that. So, and I like Drew. I think Drew's a good guy. I liked Matt Lindsay when he was here too. You want me to compare? I sort of like Taylor Edwards better than all of them, but that's for reasons other than football. I think he's just got a little more of an edge to him and kind of more fits this program than, maybe some others, but that's just me. But, Drew's a good guy. I hate that he got caught up like that, but man, I mean,
is he the fall guy, or was he one of the guys that really instigated all these violations?
I think all the assistants are fall guys, to be honest. I think Tennessee, I think what they tried to do was, like Pruitt had a bad year, went 3-7 after starting 2-0, including a win over Carolina. During the pandemic year, I mean, things went from, Jeremy Pruitt did not have a good tenure at Tennessee. His first year, they beat Auburn, blah, 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 5-7, kind of like they always are. Then, they went on the run because they started with the loss to Georgia State and BYU, and things looked really bad. Then they won 6 in a row. And that number got to 8 after beating Carolina and Missouri to open 2020. Then the bottom fell out again. Woo! And I think Tennessee did a smart thing because this investigation was coming, and I think they were just like, all right, we're going to cut bait and just shove all this out the door and fire Fulmer too, and you head it off. And I think that's what good institutions do, is they head things off when it looks like when there's no reason to fight. Why fight? Because you were losing anyway. So I hate it for Drew, but at the same time, I don't.
Well, he's with the Jags.
I follow Drew on Instagram. Yeah, the Jags. Hey, after the one disaster, they with Urban, right? They hired Doug Peterson, and they went to the playoffs and played pretty well in the playoffs, right? So they're not the worst team in the league anymore. And Trevor's pretty good and getting better. And, you have a nice little career there and work on that side of it. And I don't know, like we've talked about all segment here, I don't know that that's not a better gig. Drew's got young kids. I mean, I don't know that it's not a better quality of life right now than there. And I'm laughing because Marion's like, I'm out to deliver a 200-box cluster box at an apartment complex. I have Chinese menus for each box as well. I have y'all in my ear.
He's gonna hit lunch after this and go into the Chinese restaurant.
I'm gonna have a S7 with an egg roll.
Instead of Coach O ordering Chinese food.
That's right. I don't understand what the deal is with you two and Coach O.
I like a pint of an egg drop soup.
Why does Coach O have to order Chinese food? I'm confused.
He's a fascinating character,
Joey
JB,
says,
even still.
I'm walking up. I'm all. He's old school. I'm an all walking route in Lexington, Kentucky. Thank God winter is almost over. What's better though, a walking route in the winter or a walking route in the summer?
Depends on where you're at. If I were going to be a mailman,
wearing those skin tight blue bike shorts, though, I'm sure, Joey, with his immaculate legs.
I have a couple pairs of those. Those and I have some assless chaps too. But anyway, but no, if I'm going to be a postman, I don't want to be like Mr. McFeely for Mr. Rogers, right?
Yeah, speedy delivery, right?
Mr. McFeely, it just comes up. It's a nice, quiet neighborhood. You got guys like Fred Rogers.
I always fancied myself more of a Cliff Clavin style mailman, like get done with your route and then just hang out with your buddy at the bar.
Cliff,
day in the neighborhood. Beautiful day in the neighborhood.
Hi, Mr. McFeely. How are you? Little Lord Lady, what's her face? Fancy Pants, Lady Fancy Pants. Loves it that when you bring her letter. What was her name? Lady. I don't know. By the way, my dad didn't like me to watch Mr. Rogers.
Mr. Rogers?
Maybe that's something I need to talk to Sawyer Nix about, though.
Put you on the couch.
Is that what's wrong with you?
You have an obsession with Lady Aberlin, Daniel Lyon, and Lady Elaine Fairchild.
I tried to watch the Tom Hanks Mr. Rogers. I couldn't do it. I fell asleep.
Somebody says too many ads for the Postal Service.
Rain, snow, sleet, or hail.
Hour one is in the books. Joey's got a question about Tony Vitello. I did pick up some information on that over the weekend. I'll share that with you when we return. Also, I have a very interesting college football question for all of you. It will stump you. It'll make you think. I have no idea what your answers will be, but we'll find out. That's for sure. And then we'll figure out more in detail why the United States Postal Service hates Amazon. So don't go anywhere. An hour of fun coming up on Inside the Gamecocks, the show from the Sinorama Studios. Electric Bikes of Charleston offers the most fun you'll ever have on two wheels. The home of Oventon, Velotric, Magnum Bikes, and more, they sell to consumers all across the state and offer outstanding warranties and service after the sale. Their electric bikes are equipped with 5 levels of pedal assist plus a throttle, so you can ride longer, handle the heat better, but still get great exercise. Bikes are available for all ages and sizes. Visit electricbikescharleston.com or stop into their store in Mount Pleasant if you're in the Low Country. Electric Bikes of Charleston, powering Inside the Gamecocks, the show. The real estate market has changed dramatically from just a year ago. Rates, supply, demand, all of your traditional factors are in a transition phase. That's why if you or someone you know are considering making a move in the Low Country, contact me, JB, at Coast to Coast Realty. I work with an outstanding support cast of attorneys, lenders, inspectors, insurance agents, and more, all of whom are valuable in helping find a way for you to comfortably make your real estate decision. That's right, call me, JB, your Low Country real estate broadcaster. Golfers and wannabe golfers, former Gamecock golfer Meredith Taylor is now a full-time golf instructor in the Midlands of South Carolina. In-person golf lessons are held at the Country Club of Lexington. Half-hour, hour, on course 9 or 18 holes. And if you're outside of South Carolina, Meredith conducts virtual lessons. Just send in your golf swing for analysis. Gift cards are available for in-person 1-hour lessons. Connect on Twitter at Mayor Taylor and find her online at McKellarEnterprises.org. Her email is on the website. Schedule your next lesson today with Meredith Taylor, former Gamecock golfer.
You're tuned into Inside the Gamecocks, the show.
Sideline and picked off. Brad Edwards will get a convoy. Touchdown, South Carolina.
Chicken's got some racial spurs. You ain't just a bird. You're top of the coop, star of the show. You're a rooster who was born to crow. Well, I bet you wonder when you win or lost a step or two.
Welcome back to Inside the Gamecocks, the show. Second hour. We are presented to you by Express Sunrooms of Columbia. Give John Barber a call, 803-446-4662. And then we'll talk about how you can get some more sunshine into your home and your lives here for the summer. We're currently shopping for sponsors for our Prayers versus Parcels 3-on-3 tournament that we'll be hosting in July when things are slow. And any inquiries toward that are to be directed at insidethegamecocks@gmail.com.
No disrespect to Russell Kroll, but I think, Russell, you have a beautiful name. Love it. Do us a favor. Take the L's off just for the sake of the Nana Sports chat box so we can fool people with a celebrity being in here commenting every day. Oh, my God. Russell Crowe said Postman is...
We need our females, our females who, I don't know. Russell Crowe kind of looks like me right now. So it's like, I don't know if that would attract more female listeners or not, having Russell Crowe. Now, if he talked in his accent, it may not matter. Hey, good day. My name is Russell Crowe.
I don't think that's an Australian accent. He is
Australian.
He's Scottish, right? He's Australian? No,
dude. He kind of hit on the Crocodile Hunter's wife after Crocodile Hunter passed away. That was in the Australian tabloids.
Well, his kids
Australia.
Are doing well.
Hey, everybody down here in Australia, we just swap wives around.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
He's from Wellington, New Zealand.
Oh,
he's a Kiwi.
God forbid. I was wrong about
JC.
Man, you screwed that up.
I messed that up totally. He's a Kiwi. Oh, goodness. They're still putting shrimp on the barbie in New Zealand, aren't they? Yes, I think so. I'm still going to go driving me Subaru out there because that's not a knife. This is a knife, right?
That's not a knife. That's a knife.
That's
one of the great Crocodile Dundee is such a great
super movie.
It's every time. It's one of those every timers. If it's on, it's on. I'm watching. Couple of quick things. Let me make sure we remind everybody today's the 28th, so it's the last day. So if you haven't gone to Facebook and gone to a couple of painters' Facebook page, you need to do it now. Like, do it right now. Don't say, "Oh, I'll do that when I get home." Do it right now while you're delivering the mail and everything else. And you will register for a Gamecock room painted by a couple of painters free of charge, garnet and black. So make sure you have registered, just your name, phone number, and email address. Today's the last day, so do it. Tell your mom or your aunt or your sister or whomever else you want to get in on this contest. And as we remind you always, we always ask, hey, do you know a good painter? Yeah, well, we're telling you about one now. So when you need something painted or you need the fence stained or the deck stained or whatever it is, a couple of painters anywhere in South Carolina and anywhere in Georgia. Electric Bikes of Charleston, of course, powers our program. It's 85 degrees in the low country today. Oh, come on, man. You're going to walk out in the garage and you're going to go, oh, I don't have a bike to ride. Get one that you can ride far and get back home with pedal assist. Gamecock owned and operated. electricbikescharleston.com. And hi, Michelle. She airs our show on TV in their store in Mount Pleasant. So when people come in, they get to watch us. So hopefully we're not saying anything ridiculous. We'll be careful with our language. Michelle.
It's not a kinder care, is it? They don't have a daycare.
Let's remind Michelle, if she has a customer who wants any type of accent performed by JC, just to text me, and we'll make sure to get JC to give him a hello live on TV and whatever accent they want. While they're
like,
in
you,
there.
hey, yeah, you get the Upington.
Awesome.
You.
All right. So I have a question for all of you. All right. This is interesting. Okay, let me give you a couple of quick nuggets here. In 1991, South Carolina and Arkansas both joined the SEC. In 2003, we talked about this yesterday, JC, you made this point. Miami accepted their invitation to the ACC. In 2011, Nebraska accepted their invitation to the Big Ten. And in 2012, Texas A&M and Missouri accepted their invitations to the Southeastern Conference. Okay? Those 6 schools collectively have 0 conference championships since entering their new leagues. Which one will win one first?
Jeez, that's tough.
No, what was the 03 one again? Miami?
Now, of course, we don't know what the future of the league looks like, but
Yeah.
if it stays put as it is now, like, do
How
you?
about Virginia Tech's the only one of those expansion teams to win a conference title, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Colorado's won a division. Missouri's won a division.
Carolina's won a division.
Nebraska's won a division, but they got Wisconsin beat them 70-31 the one time they went.
Yeah. Missouri has won 2 divisions.
Yeah. But as far as conference titles go, Pittsburgh.
Well,
Pittsburgh also won a conference title.
Yeah, but they're not in this group of 6.
I know. Okay, so yeah, I'm bringing up teams that I shouldn't
stay in the
bring up.
lane. Stay in the lane. Stay in the
Stay
lane.
in your lane, son. Okay. So, which one will win it first? I'm not going to take the bait and say Texas A&M because everybody else is going to. I mean, not you. I'm not saying you guys, but A&M. Everybody always talks about A&M. You look at their history; it's never happened, and
I feel crazy and want to say Nebraska.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
I think that's the path of least resistance. And
are they going to win the whole Big Ten?
Why not?
If you guys ever notice, most great programs, and I would consider historically Nebraska a great program, unless they fall by the wayside over a period of 75 years, like a Tulane or somebody. Which those and usually that is because an institution starts leaning more toward the academic. I'd say Georgia Tech would be a good example of that, but there's no reason why Georgia Tech should not be one of the better teams in the ACC. But I think they screwed themselves. I think they sacrificed short-term gain for long-term pain with Paul Johnson. But that's another subject. So, I mean, the great ones usually come back. Nebraska's one of the great ones. I don't think they're in that challenging of a division. I'm curious to see how the Big Ten, structures with Southern Cal and UCLA coming into the league, because unlike the SEC, which is just going to go to a 1 through 16 kind of deal, I don't know that the Big Ten can do that with 2 teams on the West Coast like they have, and then teams on the East Coast. I think though that league will probably divide up into divisions again. I don't even know if it'll be based on geography, but Nebraska is Matt Rule going to be the answer, because they're since Tom Osborne left, they kind of screwed around and Frank Solich was winning, but not as big. And we want to modernize it. So you go and hire Bill Callahan. Ooh, Lordy. If they'd have gotten Houston Nutt when they came within a hair of hiring him, I think things would be different. Bo Pelini was kind of like Frank Solich. He won enough. So then they go hire Mike Riley, who really hasn't been that good except when he's coached at Oregon State. That was a disaster after 2 years. Scott Frost was the can't miss alum. He was worse than Riley and Pelini. Matt Rule is a turnaround artist. So is he going to be able to do that? I mean, people can go ahead, cue your comments about his offensive coordinator. But we at least know those boys out there will be eating right now, right? With Kristen Kaga going out there. That's the question. I don't think that's a bad answer. I think that just because that great programs, I mean, even look at Tennessee, as bad as they've been, okay? As bad as they've been, they hadn't won more than 9, I think, since Fulmer left. All of a sudden, 2 years and a quarterback that caught lightning in a bottle and a big-time offense, catching people with their pants down, 2 years into Josh Heupel, back to 11 wins in the Orange Bowl. It doesn't take much. Mike Morgan calls them volcano programs. Now, I'd have to ask Mike to see if he would agree that Nebraska is a volcano program, but they always seem to cycle back. So, I don't know. I mean, part of me says yes, path of least resistance. Part of me also says they screwed themselves 6 ways from Sunday going into the Big Ten, because they can't recruit Texas like they used to. They can't reach out to the West Coast. Maybe having UCLA Southern Cal come in helps open up the West Coast for them. But, you look at their roster these days, guys, a lot of kids, a lot of second-tier kids from Ohio, A lot of kids from that they reach down and try to pull out the South. They don't do that as well as they used to because they just haven't won. There are kids from Texas. They're one of the few Big Ten programs that can go the JUCO route, which is what I would do. And I would be very portal heavy right now if I were Matt Rule. So we'll see. But I think that's a very, very fascinating question, number one. And number two, we'll see. We'll see. I don't think it's a bad take. And, I don't see Missouri winning the SEC. I'd love to say A&M, because I think they're best positioned to do it. But, I mean, God, how many times are we like ranking them in the top 5 and they finish with 8 wins, 7 wins, 5 wins like this past year? There's just something about that program that kind of keeps you from doing it. Now watch them go to the playoff next year and go undefeated with Bobby Petrino dialing them up, right? But
that's something is Jimbo Fisher.
Yeah, I mean, I just it's just like so I don't know. So we'll see. That's a very fascinating question. For sure.
I'll tell you where I think that Nebraska's going to pick it up in recruiting. Southern California. I mean, honestly, think about this for a second. You've got Southern Cal and UCLA entering the league. If you don't have an issue with distance, and you don't mind, there's a lot of California kids, as we've learned, right, that leave the state to go play in the Southeast. And we've seen it here at Carolina. We've seen it at Clemson. We've seen it at Alabama. We've seen it at Georgia. We've seen it all over the country. And if you're a California kid that does not want to stay and wants to leave, why not go play in a league that is going to come back and play in California for home games? Mm-hmm. So if you find a kid that is open, like if he goes to Clemson, well, Clemson's not making any treks to the West Coast unless they play in a playoff game out there. So, but that's not guaranteed. But if you go play at Nebraska, that you're going to at least come home a couple of times, if not more than that, to play both Southern Cal and UCLA.
Yeah. And Nebraska and Colorado, both back in their prime, when they were both in the Big 8, they did, that was kind of how Nebraska got it done. They would dip into the side. Tommy Frazier's from Bradenton, Florida, obviously, but then they would get guys from California, Texas. And it was Texas. Just, that's what I think Colorado and Nebraska both, they're missing Texas. Of course, Dion at Colorado, he's going all over the place. And we'll see if that ultimately works out for them or not. I saw a picture of their team meeting with Tim Brewster. And I was like, wow, these guys don't pass the eyeball test at all. They look like Furman. So there's plenty of playing time available at Colorado just based on the eyeball test. But, so we'll see what happens there. But yeah, it's fascinating to think, nobody even talks about this either. Nebraska and Colorado were big rivals once upon a time. Because you go out the western part of Nebraska and you're in Colorado. People don't think about that.
Well, think about how good those programs were back in like the early 90s.
Gosh, yeah. There was late 80s, early 90s.
Premier program, right? Yeah.
And Colorado in the Big 12 North held their own. I mean, they were still, Gary Barnett, when he was there, they were still pretty good. And they had some years where they could make an argument that they should have been a little better. But, and Nebraska was pretty good. I mean, it just, the moves to the Pac-12 and the Big Ten just have not worked out. One division title for each, and they got slaughtered when they went to the championship game, and that's been it. So,
if you're Carolina, just out of curiosity, from a fan standpoint here, and Shane Beamer said, all right, I'm going to pull the audience, whichever wins, we'll throw it on the schedule. Would you rather go to an away game at a place with so much history like Lincoln, Nebraska, where the fan base, what you're going to get, or would you rather go see Boulder, Colorado?
If that's the choice for me, I'm going Boulder, because Carolina's been to Lincoln in '87, and they have played Nebraska recently. And my buddy who's listening, Rod's wife is a Nebraska fan, and he went to the Nebraska-Colorado game in Boulder, I think last year or year before last. And enjoyed it. And, to me, it would be an easier flight. There's been other SEC schools that have gone out there, like Georgia went out to Colorado a few years ago.
Oh, yeah.
And you can fly into Denver, and go up right there. It's a 45-minute drive. I've been to a Nike camp out there before. And for the Gamecocks specifically, Lincoln is so close to Omaha. It is. Isn't it right down the road from about an hour from Omaha?
Yeah, it's not that far. Yeah,
it's been to Omaha, right? The fan base has been to Omaha. But so to me, Boulder would be something kind of new. I mean, that's just my opinion, though. And I'm more of a West Coast guy than a Midwest guy, even though for some reason, which we all know,
I'm going
I live in
Boulder
the
too, if
Midwest.
not, but for the scenery.
I've been
at Lincoln, and Lincoln is very
looks neat.
flat.
Very flat. Gamecocks need to play at Northwestern.
Nah.
They're building a new stadium. They're building a new stadium.
I do want to see their new complex on the lake. That does look beautiful.
It's nice. It is. It's not as. I think sometimes when you look at it on the internet, it looks a lot nicer than it is because you got all these shots from out in Lake Michigan looking toward. But there's a lot of nice views. I mean, it is. It's right there on the coast, and Quantrell mentions. Or what? Somebody mentioned something, or Churchill mentions that 87 game out Lincoln between the Gamecocks and Nebraska. Gamecocks were 21-13. Nebraska outscored them 17-0. That was coming off a 3-point win by the Huskers in Columbia the year before, which would have been a huge upset. Mm-hmm. And then of course there was the Capital One Bowl where Bo Pelini actually said, "We're the better team." I'm like, "You got beat 30-13, dog."
Yeah, they weren't the better team.
You weren't the better team.
They weren't.
You got off to a good start, and now Sean caught that pass before the half, and you were just about
you're
out of it. So,
yeah, it was. I was at that game, and first of all, the Nebraska fan base was outstanding.
They're great people,
wonderful people. Probably the best fan base I've ever been around.
Yes,
and they were just absolutely phenomenal. But Carolina, there was no doubt who the best team in Orlando was that day, or Orlando was that day. They were amazing. Real quick before we go to break, Joe. So picked up a little bit of intel. The thought is out of Tennessee on Tony Vitello was that this was something that they were going to try to get in front of. If anybody's noticed, Tennessee's had a difficult time getting in front of their issues over the last few years. So they thought it would be best. This was, I think, something that he actually presented to the administration, that he would go ahead and serve a 3-game suspension, and hopefully things would kind of quiet down from there. This is involving the shortstop who basically was tampered with to get to Tennessee from Kansas. He is an elite player, but because they are still kind of going through this investigation, they have not cleared this guy to play just yet at Tennessee. Tennessee claims that they didn't, but at least the folks I talked to this weekend seem to think that that's not true. That there's certainly more to this story, and that they think they know who the coach is in the SEC who turned in the Vols program on this. I'm not going to say that because if that spreads like wildfire, I do not want it pinned on me. But there's a thought that they think that they know who the coach is that turned him in, and so Tennessee's trying to deal with this now. So will this kid get cleared? I don't know. Will they get hammered for this? I'm not sure. But tampering, unfortunately, is happening all over the place. And at some point in time, somebody's going to need to be hammered, so it'll stop. And we'll see where that goes from there. But that's all I've got on that, and we'll just keep an eye on it as time moves on. All right, it's 12:23, so it's time for a timeout inside the Gamecocks, the show. When we return, I'm actually going to be off for a minute. I've got to go take care of something. I think these two gentlemen who are still here probably know how to do this, JC and Phil. So best of luck to the both of you, and I'll try to pop back in before the end of the program. If not, then I'll see you tomorrow. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Okay, there you go.
Let's take a break. We'll be back.
Just as your State Farm agent combines good neighbor service with surprisingly great rates, you can combine your home, auto, life, or small business insurance with Tony Pope State Farm Insurance today. And guess what you'll get? That's right, even more good neighbor service with surprisingly great rates. In fact, Tony Pope State Farm is your go-to agent anywhere in South Carolina, North Carolina, or Georgia for the service you deserve at the price you want. So try combining your home, life, auto, and or small business insurance today. Tony Pope State Farm has been in business for more than 30 years and can handle anything you need in the tri-state area. Once again, Tony Pope State Farm will help you mix and match perfectly. Call 843-851-2222 or visit TonyPope.com today. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
If you're in the upstate of South Carolina and are in need of residential real estate services, Cindy Bass Searfoss of Caldwell Banker Kane is for you. Ask her about the village at Creekside, all of her listings in my hometown of Spartanburg, South Carolina, right there on Daniel Morgan Avenue, married to a lifelong Gamecock fan. And many of our listeners have already bought homes from her and been 100% satisfied with the detail and care she uses. Cindy Searfoss, 864-414-5271, Caldwell Banker Kane in the upstate for your real estate needs.
Are you looking to buy a new home? Kevin O'Connell with Union Home Mortgage is a local mortgage expert and Gamecocks fan servicing North and South Carolina. Whether you're buying a home, building your dream home with new construction, or turning your equity into cash, UHM's world-class service will ensure you find the perfect mortgage to achieve your home ownership goals. Call Kevin at 803-906-0244 or visit UHM.com today. Union Home Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLS 2229, LONMLS 1772182.
Hey man, are you sick and tired of your business computer guy?
Yes, he takes forever to call me back and doesn't always respond to the requests.
Yeah, same here. I'm paying him good money. I constantly have issues, and I'm worried he's not backing up my network and securing it properly. You know what, Phil? Let's ask Stone Blanton.
Hey, JC and Phil, if you want a solution to your IT problems, give Heritage Digital a call. Our boy Matt Odom has a low-cost, one-price solution that will get you running right. Call 843-699-1001 or heritagedigital.com and ask for Matt. He will hook you up today and tell them Stone sent you.
This is freshman All-American Nicky Memorial of the Carolina Gamecocks, and you're listening to The Show with JC and Phil.
Welcome back to Inside the Gamecocks, the show, everybody. Presented to you by Express Sunrooms of Columbia. Give John Barber and his team a call or shoot him an email, 803-446-4662, or John B. at expresssunrooms.com. Excuse me, to talk about a potential sunroom addition for your home. We don't have a sponsor for the second hour, so take that, ad complainer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brian, it's just all ads.
Nothing but ads on this show, and none of them are funny.
I think most
hey,
of them
basketball team's playing tonight. Talk about funny.
By the way, I did want to say, look, I think we're all kind of stunned by Keith's aggressiveness yesterday, and
coming off a little heavy.
Disclaimer: opinions of guests on our show are their opinions alone. Booking, like you say, retweets are not endorsements. Guests are not endorsements.
Retweets are not endorsements.
Retweets are not endorsements. So, I don't necessarily agree with taking things that far. I agree that the end of game coaching leaves a lot to be desired, but I know some of you were a little bit shocked, and earlier today in the chat box, you're like, man, maybe he just needs to calm down a little bit. I honestly, I've done a lot. I've been a lot with Keith, and Keith's never gotten that far into the. I was like, wow, just kept going. So I was like, I think we're all just kind of sitting here like, oh, all right, well, good job. Yeah, I mean, sometimes I get fired up too, so I get it, but. Yeah, people were saying, well, Lamont's never coming on the show now, and I'm like, well, look, wait a minute. Wait a minute now. I think the show's criticism of Lamont hadn't been, like that. Anyway, I just ordered an average jambalaya shirt and created a logo.
Yes.
average jambalaya. It's in purple and gold, too. So anyway, about Blake Franks, Clinton, the Nana Sports chat box, the award-winning Nana Sports chat box, anything new on Blake Franks, getting antsy for him to pull the trigger. Just taking his time. South Carolina still feels really good about it. I don't think that with a Greenville player you can ever count Clemson out. It's right there. Like I said, hey, it's one of those things where it's going to be a battle. Clemson's program speaks for itself. I know you guys don't want to hear that, but it does. But I haven't gotten any indication from contacts at either school, either place, that anything's changed. Sometimes guys, when like you expect an announcement, we all, because we cover it, and those of us that cover recruiting are like just wanting to get it out of the way so we can move on to the next thing. And I know fans are impatient because fans are impatient, right? That's just the nature of it. I think we sometimes don't realize, sometimes these guys are like, okay, they've made a decision, it's done. But these days guys want to get, I don't know, a little video done, maybe a little bit, sometimes they do videos and they don't end up where they do the video for, like Tank Bigsby.
Jeez.
So Stacy says Keith speaks for the people. Yeah, look, and that's why we have him on, because he's brutally honest and stuff like that. But I don't know. I agree. I agreed with his point. I thought the delivery got a little bit intense. But,
You did.
Just want to explain that to folks that were like, "Well, Lamont Paris is going to hate the show now." It's not necessarily true.
No, that's
But we all love Keith. We've known him for forever, right? So James Churchill chimes in, the kid that Maui Ahuna and Vitello are both back. James is like, big penalty there, missing 3 games against Nobody University.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
So I don't know, this tampering stuff, if there was tampering, right, and they can prove it, there needs to be harsher penalties than that, because right now, things like money, NIL, all that stuff, you can't police it. I mean, so if you're allegedly supposed to be enforcing the rules, which I think the NCAA is clueless right now, then tampering needs to be one of the harshest penalties there is, right? 3 games for tampering, if that's what it really was, that sucks in baseball. That's stupid.
But that's one of those, I think they like self-imposed it to try to get out ahead of it. But I don't know if it is tampering and that suffices, then
and let's tamper away.
Yeah, right.
May as well get on the phone right now,
Right.
Shoot, I get this really good player, only cost me the 3-game series against Nobody.
Yeah, send him out the UMass Lowell series at the beginning of the year, be good to go.
How has UMass Lowell been doing, Phil, since the game?
I am not sure. Hold on, let me pull it
up. They won a
here.
game? I thought they were pretty good. Yeah, Clint says, let the tampering begin. I agreed. Seth says, imagine hearing Keith go off and you're inside the basketball office. Jeez, like you got the show on. It's like, it's been such a bad season. You're probably just tuning in for a few laughs and some banter. Yeah. And all of a sudden, roar!
Click. Lowell has not won a game.
See, like my baseball takes are horrible. I thought they were better than some teams that beat the Gamecocks last year because they could run the bases. So Ethan Petrie is going to be my one baseball take I get right. Every 3 years. Every 3 years. Gamecocks tonight are playing North Carolina A&T on the Diamond. Chance to be 9-0 heading into the Clemson series. James Hicks is starting. A little, according to a report on the Big Spur, says it's going to be a bullpen night. So probably a couple innings each for everybody. That's always a good thing. Gamecocks, of course, do play at Mississippi State in men's basketball. It's the final road game of the year. Mississippi State's won 6 out of their last 8 since beating the Gamecocks in Columbia. They're a really good defensive team. Chances of victory maybe are not super strong, but Gamecocks got the Georgia Bulldogs coming to town to close this thing out. Probably the last home game for G.G. Jackson, one would think. So, a chance to get to what if they beat Georgia and lose tonight, 4-14 in the league.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
it's been
So
rough.
I don't know.
It's maybe they'll win a game at the.
I will say the concerning part is they just this whole year it has been a theme. They do not match up well against teams that will defend you.
That play defense?
Getting your guard. Yeah. I mean, like getting your grill and guard. Like,
yeah.
You're not going to play for Buzz Williams or Rick Barnes and not guard. You're not going to play with this guy at Mississippi State either who's in New Mexico State and not defend. Some coaches, you can get by with it. Calipari, he's probably got a bunch of NBA guys. I'm not saying defense is optional at Kentucky. He prefers that they play defense, but they don't always play defense, that's one of the things that surprised me about when the Gamecocks played Georgia so close in Athens is Mike White's teams usually do guard you. At Florida, they were really kind of known for defense, but who knows? Marion says we now have high energy Mondays and Thursdays. Those are two such crappy days anyway. Monday sucks, and then Thursday it's not really the weekend.
Right.
So
right.
I totally get it. But, Joey says about the Tennessee thing, it's the NCAA. It's not like they'll actually set a precedent.
Yeah. Oh, and I like what Quantrell says. The NCAA is an organization where it feels like the rules are not universal like the other sport governing bodies. Here's the thing about the NCAA is the equivalent of a freaking homeowners association. If you're in the in crowd, you're good. If you're not, then they will levy penalties against you. That's the way it is. It's always been that way. If you're one of the blue bloods, you get a pass, or you get a light little pat, on the hand. And if you're, SMU, you get the book thrown at you.
You're Dundee and Don Gandhi.
Yeah, man, it is. It's like the equivalent of a homeowners association.
I hate homeowners associations. It's like you pay to have people all up in your business.
Ugh, it's yeah.
Sauter says, "I'll never buy a house in a HOA. Muppets, the lot of them."
Yep.
God, gee, Will Sauter, what are you gonna? Hi-ho. This is Kermit D. Frog right here from your local homeowners association. Oh, Kirby, these people have a hot tub. It doesn't fit the code. Oh, gee, Biggie, maybe we'll let it slide. No! That's exactly how it goes down, too, because Miss Biggie's sitting there against talking to Kermit the Frog, who's technically the president of the Homeowners Association, but she runs the show.
Right.
Miss Biggie does.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, oh, rah, rah, rah.
Yeah, and she keeps a camper in her backyard, but
not for everybody else.
The Camaro on blocks in your driveway is what'll get the book thrown at you. Yes.
Meanwhile, Rolf is playing his piano too loud. He gets charged $500.
Right?
For no reason.
Yeah.
Y'all remember Rolf? Yeah, Sauter. I've always tried to avoid it myself. I'm lucky because in the state of Illinois, I mean, you can't escape stuff like that. I'm lucky. My neighborhood, I live in a place called Pebble Creek.
Do you really?
It's called Pebble Creek.
From one Pebble Creek to another.
Jesus. I was like, Pebble Creek? Oh, I live on Carefree Drive. Like, wow. You just told me a few years back, JC, soon you'll be living in Pebble Creek on Carefree Drive. I'd have been like, damn, I won the lottery. And I did in life. Just not money wise,
Yeah, right.
I did in life, but not money wise. But yeah,
my daughter came up. She was like, "Wow, there's a lot of wealthy kids who live around here." I'm like, I guess. I don't know. Started owning homes early, bought a nicer one. Hell, I don't know.
Russell Crowe says I sounded like Yoda. That's because Frank Oz did the voice for both Russell Crowe. For Russell Crowe. Frank Oz did Russell Crowe. Shut up, JC. That's Frank Oz did the voice for Yoda, Miss Piggy, Grover from Sesame Street.
Yep.
And several others. So, homeowners associations are communist organizations, I think. It's
awful.
They're just for busybodies. I'm like, leave me the hell alone. I'd live in an apartment. or a townhouse, so I wouldn't have to cut the damn grass if I wanted that kind of badger. And look, I understand you can't have some things out in your yard, right, and in the neighborhood remain nice. I understand there's a common sense approach to it. These people take it way too far, and you have to spend money. Pay them every month.
That's ridiculous. Yeah, the yearly dues. Oh, it's nuts. And what do we get?
No doubt.
Just raised them here. This, and I'm like, there's no common area in this. Why are we having to spend $200 more this year? We don't do anything in the community. There's no, like park area,
no clubhouse,
area, nothing like that. Yeah, no clubhouse. It's ridiculous. You got to pay to have a membership to the, country club or whatever beyond your HOA dues. Not that I'm, a country club kind of guy or even golf for that matter, but geez, it's like, come on.
If I played golf, I would be a member of the country club, but
yeah,
I'd have to, number one, get good at golf, and I'm terrible. I haven't played 20 years. Number two, I'd probably have to have like my guys at the bar in the 60s. That's what they do every day. They go play 18. Then they head to tavern and they eat a beef and have a few beers and they watch more golf on TV. The Golf Channel. Walk in there at 1 or 2 o'clock, everybody sitting around laughing, eating a beef sandwich, watching more golf. So people used to think South Carolinians were crazy because they're addicted to golf. No, it's everywhere. It's everywhere once it gets in your blood. So, by the way,
I'm with the Underhills. Yeah, that's right. That's how I roll up in there.
Clint says what you're saying, Phil, is if USC has a Camaro on blocks on campus, they'll get the book thrown at them. Yeah. Got to get that Camaro down. Yeah. And meanwhile, Tennessee, they got a Winnebago with one tire, one wheel out in the front of their yard. Looks like the spaceship from Spaceballs. But
that's because my daughter's baby daddy left her.
That's part of the Vol Navy. That's part of the Vol Navy. You can't float. Really push the SOB into the Tennessee River, see if it floats. Well, it's undergoing some repairs.
We had to retire the old SS Rocky Top. We figured
it's just cold and down. We got to patch it up. So Ed says his name is Ed Said. So Ed Said says, "I'll defend Keith. Basketball's his passion. His insights on the sport are legit. The whole cold hard truth is a cold hard truth. I enjoy Keith's fire." Yeah, that's what I was just. I wasn't necessary. I would never apologize for anything he says. I was just. I just kind of thought, to some out there, they may have thought it was overly harsh. I kind of thought it was a little bit overly harsh. Especially jumping back in with the personal message, the Ric Flair style personal message. Woo! Let me tell you something, Tony Schiavone. Leonard Anderson. It reminded me of Ric Flair, Let me tell you something, Lamont Paris.
Just show them how to go hard in the paint. That's what it is.
Haynes said, don't forget Oscar the Grouch. Y'all remember Dave Chappelle's Oscar the Grouch bit? Oh, Oscar, you're a grouch. Yeah. It's like, I live in a trash can. Ain't nobody helping me. We got to get a break. Ed, we'll be back to wrap up the Tuesday episode. JB's not here, so it's gone off the rails a little bit. Inside the Gamecocks, the show.
I want you to take me to Disney World.
Horror. Horror. Calm down. JC is here. As y'all know, folks, the family and I have visited Disney World many times, but it can be overwhelming, especially if it's your first time going to the most magical place on earth. I highly recommend wherethisroadleads.com and my friend Cherie, a certified Disney vacation planner. That's right, the mouse has given her permission to book your family vacation hassle-free. You don't know where to go, don't know where to stay, don't know where to eat, don't know what to do. It can be overwhelming. So get on wherethisroadleads.com and schedule your free consultation right now. She can help you out. The prices are very reasonable. You don't pay any extra fees. In fact, she's much more reasonable maybe than booking it straight through Disney. So for your next Disney vacation, or, more likely your first, so you don't panic, Go to wherethisroadleads.com and talk to Cherie, certified Disney vacation planner, a partner of Inside the Gamecocks, the show.
Electric Bikes of Charleston offers the most fun you'll ever have on two wheels. The home of Aventon, Velotric, Magnum Bikes, and more, they sell to consumers all across the state and offer outstanding warranties and service after the sale. Their electric bikes are equipped with 5 levels of pedal assist plus a throttle, so you can ride longer, handle the heat better, but still get great exercise. Bikes are available for all ages and sizes. Visit electricbikescharleston.com or stop into their store in Mount Pleasant if you're in the Low Country. Electric Bikes of Charleston, powering Inside the Gamecocks, the show.
Hey, Mo Cowboy here from the Carolina Gamecocks. You're listening to Inside the Gamecocks, the show with JC and Phil.
Because my mic is off. Talk about professionalism. There we go. Welcome back to Inside the Gamecocks, the show. Presented to you by Express Sunrooms, live from the Signorama Studios. And JB's back, so we'll button it up.
Sorry about that.
No, you're good. Just, went down a couple of rabbit holes. Not a thing, man. We talk men's basketball.
Homeowners associations.
I did compare the NCAA to a homeowners association. Yes.
Well,
selective disbursement of punishment, varying in degrees on how close you are to the center. If you're a blue blood program, get a little slap on the wrist. If you're not, they'll throw the book at you to make an example out of it.
Yeah, that's
just like an HOA.
Well, I live in an HOA, which ours isn't bad, but what's amazing, I've been in a bad one. But what's amazing is how many people are not in charge but act like they are.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I mean? That's the lady that bakes cookies all the time.
Yeah,
her name's probably like Darlene or Brenda or Beverly. Bakes cookies. Thinks she's in charge.
I got into it with a lady last year sitting at our pool at 8:00 at night, and she said, "You got to leave." I said, "Why?" She said, "Because the pool's closed." I said, "According to who?" She said, "According to the rules." I said,
"The rules?
No. The rules are sun up to sundown, and the sun around here doesn't set till about 8:45." So
last time I checked, I'm not a meteorologist. I'm not an astronomer or anything, but
I literally
seems like we have daylight.
I literally told her, I was like, I tell you what. While you're figuring out what to do about me sitting in this pool, having my drink, my wife and kids were out of town. I was just sitting there by myself.
Just by yourself.
I said, while you're all figuring out what to do about it, I'm going to sit right here and keep enjoying this thing. Whenever you come back, if you come back, I'll have my response.
I lucked out because in the state of Illinois, you're not going to get very far living wise without some sort of HOA. It's just inevitable because that's how people roll up here. But I actually live in one of the few neighborhoods that doesn't. It's called Pebble Creek, and I live on Carefree Drive. And I was saying, if you'd have told me 5 years ago you'd be living in Pebble Creek on Carefree Drive, I'd have been like, "Well, damn, I won the lottery." And I said I did in life. Okay, in case Nat's listening, but it's not money wise, but we don't have one, amazingly enough, and God forbid if we did, because these people, I'm lucky because my two neighbors on either side aren't nosy, but everybody else in this neighborhood is. We were building a fence one day and we did not have our permit in the window, right in the window.
No,
they started building the fence at 8:45. Hi, I'm Johnny McBeef Sandwich from the village at Homer Glen. Just want to make sure you have a permit for this fence. Now, people were complaining and said you didn't have a permit in your window. And like, we have the damn permit. It's just not, we didn't think to put it in I'm from the South. I'm a moron when it comes to, we just got there to build stuff with our bare hands.
Wanted a fence, so we put one up.
I chopped down 16 trees to build this fence. Come on, man. I wasn't about to get a fence for the shed up, the gigantic shed I put back there later.
You got to run that by the architectural committee here in my neighborhood, who, of course, consists of nobody other than the president of the HOA. So it's like, if he doesn't like it, then,
So I don't know. I'm just like, it's just one of those things. And that's kind of, you're right. That's how the NCAA rolls.
Can I take a hard right real quick?
Sure.
Okay. JC, if you ever do something like this, I'm going to call you and we're going to have a conversation about your man card. Okay? I don't know who this Zach guy is who owns whatever other random website it is that covers Clemson. But for him to put out a column that says UCF owes Clemson athletics an apology, get the front door out of here. What Girl Scout is this guy? Matter of fact, the Girl Scouts are tougher than he is. I mean, come on, man. Like,
you owe us an apology.
Let me tell you why they ran down the hill. Because they, along with the rest of the country, make fun of that school for running down the freaking hill. That's why. Because I tell you what, when you come into Founders Park and you sweep the Gamecocks, nobody's going over to Williams-Brice to get in to run out to 2001 because they're like, man, that's pretty cool. No. So you're going to speak up. What are you, the gatekeeper of Clemson athletics? What kind of column is that? How about what happened in the baseball series? They got their ass beat. Nothing.
UCF's only 2 national championships behind Clemson, right?
Yeah.
Hey, look, from a Gamecock standpoint, I thought, no way. God, I think it's Zach. I don't even know the guy's last name that probably wrote that, but I know you're talking about. So it's one of those things where it's like, you can't. I thought from a Clemson standpoint, for them to overreact about it was a little much. But I also thought.
I thought that was on brand.
But I also thought it was on brand for UCF to do something like that.
Oh, indeed, it was. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. And I don't dislike UCF. I mean, I kind of run in with their fans one time because I called them the Golden Knights because I forgot they had dropped the Golden. And oh my God. Because and the thing about UCF fans, they're all like new to all this because it's a relatively new school. So they skew younger, right, to begin with. Because it's like if USC Upstate had 4 times the enrollment, all of a sudden had football.
It's like guys, it's like Coastal.
Yeah,
Coastal. Right. Yeah.
Johnny come lately all the way. Mm-hmm. But God forbid they think they're Notre Dame. It's like, oh my God,
I give Coastal credit. They certainly don't. That's not the case. And Gary Gilmore wouldn't let his baseball team do that. But I mean,
and then they actually won a national championship.
Exactly. And because I agree with you. I did think it was absolutely classist. I do think they were making fun of Clemson running down the hill. I don't like UCF and how a lot of it's run down there. I think it's a joke that they claim a national championship. You didn't win the national championship. So you're not national champions. I mean, I don't know how many people need to hear that. However, like, what reporter decides that he wants to come out with a column? You owe Clemson an apology for what? Beating your ass 3 straight games?
Yeah.
You want to apologize for that? How about
I think Clemson owes their fans an apology for getting swept. I mean, don't put yourself in that position. Yeah, you remember when you remember Vandy when they first started kind of coming up, right? And Carolina, they'd lose a couple to Vandy, and I think Tanner beat Vandy 38 times in a row or something before Corbin got there, and then they started chirping and talking smack. You know whose problem that was? South Carolina's.
Yeah.
You know what the Gamecock baseball program thought about that? Well, we need to beat them. I mean, that's period.
I can assure you of one thing. If that happened at South Carolina, the guys that I know that cover the Gamecocks ain't writing a column about any team needing to apologize to South Carolina for that. It's not going to happen. I mean, they're much more focused on, not hurt feelings and like, why did we get swept? And let's ask questions and write columns about that. Not about, well, I'm going to stick up for my school here, even though I'm a journalist, and I'm going to defend them tooth and nail, because that's what I'm here for. Because up here in the upstate, we wear our colors in the press box. That's what we do. We cheer. Ask Gene Sapikoff. Gene will tell you. He's been in the press box multiple times up there where they're cheering in the press box. You're covering the game.
Yeah, you don't cheer in the press box.
Sweep the Gamecocks at Founders, and I'd be a little disappointed if I didn't hear Sandstorm coming from the other side.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. That's what they're going to do, man. Like,
Yeah.
we're in this world now. Like, everybody wants to mock everybody. Everybody wants to pimp home runs, and everybody wants to. Okay, I mean, it's all fun and games till you punch in the face, as Tyson once said. But nobody's punching in the face anymore, so they just keep doing it. So, I mean, come on, get out of here with that crap. I mean, that's just junk, is what it is. If I was UCF, I would retweet that with another video of them running down the hill from a different.
That's right.
They will. Like I said, because they got numbers like you're saying, 60,000 students a year. That's crazy.
It's crazy.
And I mean, there's a million of them. And now that they've had a little success, they're kind of like a very new money fan base, and it's tough. I wouldn't. Look, I've said a lot of bad things about UCF. I'm a little worried. I was like, when I thought it was a joke, they claimed the national championship. I actually did think they were joking. I didn't know they would have a parade and everything else. But boy, and I used that Golden Knights instead of Knights, and boy, it was just awful, kind of deal. So
By the way, it wasn't the Zach guy. The Zach guy didn't write it.
No.
It was, well, if you just pull up the column, you'll know who wrote it, JC. And I'm not gonna say his name and all those things, but you'll, as soon as you see the name, you'll go, fits right in.
Not a surprise. I'll pull it up. We'll see. So, I just don't. I'm not sure, about that. Speaking of UCF, UCF's going to the Big 12. We got all this expansion coming. One thing I was thinking about, kind of the final topic of the day, JB, and I wanted to get your take on. So the divisions are going away in football. Like it, love it, want some more of it, hate it, whatever. They're going away. Now, the one sport that's left with divisions is still baseball. And I think it makes a lot of sense to have divisions in baseball. How do you see that playing out? I mean, will they just kind of do and move Alabama and Auburn to the east and Oklahoma, Texas to the west? It would make sense, or Alabama, Auburn would come east, and then I guess Missouri would go west with Texas and OU, something like that. Anyway, I mean, how do you see that playing out?
Yeah, I don't know. And nobody knows, as a matter of fact. At least if they do, they haven't said anything to me. I do think that divisions are good in baseball because you play 3-game series and you rotate so much right now, anyways. Because you play 10 series a year. So, and I don't know that number is going to go up even as the league grows. So I think that divisions in baseball are just fine. I think it's good to have them. And then you battle it out in the SEC tournament, which the SEC tournament is more for seeding. If it doesn't do some people any good, there have been multiple years clearly where Carolina could have cared less what happened there because they knew exactly where they were going to be in the postseason. Same with many of the other schools, although LSU takes a lot of pride, right, in winning the SEC tournament. It's just kind of their thing. Very rarely does one of the worst teams in the league get hot and win the tournament. So it really is just more about if you do get hot and you get to the championship game or you win a couple of games, maybe you bump yourself into a host position or a 2 seed via 3 seed, something like that. So, but I like the divisions in baseball because baseball is a sport that playing 3-game series, it's so hard, and 15-15 can win you a division. And I just think that I think that it is good to be able to acknowledge that type of success with division winners versus without.
And I think too, the SEC tournament, you could even take it back to the 8-team format. You just have to take top 4 from each division and play, or something like that. I don't know. The tournament really gets cumbersome with 16 teams, but we'll see sort of what happens with all that. But that's just something that hit me today, is because divisions, I know they're gone in basketball. I know they'll probably go away in football. But baseball, I mean, you're absolutely right. You're in an 8-team division. You play 7 other teams. It's 21 games. And then you rotate, you have three cross divisions every year. And that's interesting. And I don't think in baseball that there's the major appetite for oh, well, you got to play everybody in the league, over the course of how many years, home and home. I mean, that's a different sport with different budgets and different level of interest and things like that as far as TV goes. So I like that. And I do think what they'll do, they'll move Bama and Auburn, I guess, into the East. And then, so that would be what? And move Missouri into the West.
And and if that's the case, that's good news for Carolina because Alabama's having a good year, but Alabama usually is not one of the better teams in the West, and really neither is Auburn. So if you draw them year in and year out, that's generally pretty good. Not that they can't be. Alabama's got a good tradition of baseball, and so does Auburn. Everybody in this league does. But I would much rather take those guys than having them pin either Texas or Oklahoma in the East.
Oh yeah, I mean,
that makes zero sense.
And you lose the big long road trip to Missouri every year, and I'm sure for Mizzou baseball wise that would make a lot more sense as well. So just food for thought to wrap things up on what was sort of an informative yet zany episode of the show, right?
That's right.
By the way, I'm about to go record a JC and Morgan for the first time in a while. Have yourself a JC and Morgan.
Oh, Mikey.
Mike. Oh yeah.
Make sure you tell Mikey we said hello. Tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock, by the way, Monty Lee will meet with the media previewing his return to Clemson this weekend. Probably don't expect him to say anything at all that's going to cross the line. That's not Monty. But I can assure you when he walks on that field this weekend with Garnet and Black, I promise you he wants to win every one of these games by as many runs as he possibly can.
Right. And here on the show tomorrow at 12:20, David Cloninger of the Post Courier is going to be on. So DC coming on tomorrow. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I spent about 30 minutes with him the other day. He's great. Man.
I think also later in the week, the transfers for football are going to meet with the media, all the guys from the portal.
Thursday.
So should be a little football stuff on Thursday coming up. Yeah, so is Shane. So that'll be good. That'll be good to hear from him.
So, we also have Kip on Thursday and Stuart Lake on Friday as well. So it should be a fun week. All right, Phil. Well, take us home if you don't mind. Sorry I had to dip out, but I know I'll be back at 11 tomorrow. Hopefully all of you will as well.
Will do.